Hello, thank you for being here. We are live from my broadcast studio and we are ready to speak about lean entrepreneurship. So, I have been reading this book with regards to the lean entrepreneur written by Brand Cooper and Patrick Vlaskovich. This is the book. And there are a lot of things to find out about lean entrepreneurship. But what is really important to understand is that it cannot be applied to all the cases. And I'm saying that because I have experienced that lean entrepreneurship and going to create the minimum viable product and test it in the market and make sure that this is going to be successful before you actually understand it is successful is not always the case. Doesn't always lead to a successful result, or if you want, it doesn't lead to any result. And I'm a little bit harsh on this, and I'm going to explain why. When, for instance, you want to create the minimum viable product of something that it is a niche, how is it possible that people are supposed to comprehend the different benefits of this new product? It needs a lot of effort before people are going to understand and adapt the new service or the new product you are offering to them. That's why I think that it is almost impossible sometimes, obviously not in most cases, you could actually adapt the lean entrepreneurship concepts, but not in all the cases. And this is what I would like to emphasize. So it is not possible to make people understand that you are creating a new car when there are only horses. Imagine Ford. Imagine how would it be when he wanted to enter the market with a car instead of riding horses. If he was creating this first car and trying to sell it, how many people do you think would have bought the car? He didn't do that. He went and created quite a few cars and made people follow him and made his product, demonstrated his product's benefits before he was actually demonstrably sure that this was, I want to say before he actually demonstrated what the benefits of his products. So lean entrepreneurship cannot be adopted in all the cases. Now, I would like to read you one of the things I have highlighted, and that is an important point that is made from the writers, Brand Cooper and Patrick Vlaskovich. And this important point is that in the lean entrepreneurship, there is need to think of the value creation economy. And that is something really important. But I think that in any case, you have to think, in all the cases, you have to think about the value you are creating. And they think that customers are empowered by having a product experience that exceeds their needs, having a relationship with a company in which the company treats them respectfully, and having a voice in the product. Those are the three things in the mind of the writers is what needs to be taken in consideration with regards to the customers and with regards to the value creation column. And I agree with them. Those things are really, really important. But again, it doesn't make sense to create something only on basis of how you are going to exchange value between customers and yourself. I think there is a major ecosystem that you need to take in consideration in order for this value creation to be directed in the right ways and exchanged in the right quantities. So this system remains an ecosystem. But that is another discussion. Now, I would like to go ahead and read you a little bit more from page 113. And this has to do with the customer development. They are making some really interesting questions here. One of them is you need to think who is your customer and so do the market segmentation. Then you need to think what problem are you trying to solve. And so think the pain, passion, customer goal and job to be done. Then you need to think also what's your solution idea. That's really important too, which means not the futures, but as we were discussing previously, the value proposition. Brainstorm other business model hypotheses, partners, distribution, and so on. Product platform design and functionality are really important. Sales and marketing funnel are too. And so they continue with explaining what are the steps that you need to follow in order to behave as a lean entrepreneur. Make things happen from the very beginning. The minimum viable product, they say, takes guts. What's the biggest risk to your business? Countless times we have asked entrepreneurs this seemingly simple question, and countless times we hear the same response. Generating buzz. Customer adoption. I need users. Growth. Scale. If you have anything at all of interest getting coverage in today's crazed, page views ruled media culture, isn't that difficult. What's hard is finding anyone who cares. Okay, so many of you read the first sentence and ignored the second. Really? You are saying to yourself, I can get media coverage? Sure. Have you actually tried sending an email to an editor at your favorite online rag? They are begging for stories. Yes, you still need an angle, but it is a lang-paid life and your story doesn't even have to be real. But if you have not proven the viability of your product, please don't. A startup we spoke with in New York City serves urban pet owners. It's the sort of idea that the media loves. It's cute. They received tons of attention, all of which they felt was worth bragging about. Here is what their adoption looked like after all the TV coverage. Page views 10,000 per day. Sign-ups 2,500 per month. Engagement 5 per week. What does scaling acquisition do for this company? Regardless of what you might think, the biggest obstacle to your idea is that no one cares. The hardest thing for you to admit is that though your friends and family tell you that you have a great idea, it is actually worthless. It's hard. Your baby is ugly. You have too many futures. You have too many ideas packed into one project. When you pull a product off the shelf of a retail store, how many problems does it solve? Guess what? That you solve a problem that you yourself ensure is great and all, but it doesn't make a business. When you got out of the building and went around and said to your potential customers, would it be cool if, or I got this great idea, or what do you think of, or would you pay for? You didn't really get any market validation. We once worked with a team at a lean startup machine workshop whose leader insisted that people are motivated to overcome personal obstacles through public urging by their closest friends. There is no doubt that for some this is so, but feedback among mentors and other workshop participants was resoundingly negative. Feedback outside the building constructed by team members was overwhelmingly negative. Yet, the feedback the leader himself found was unanimously positive. What's wrong with this picture? It's very easy to find evidence to bolster the views you already have, especially those that you are emotionally attached to. Very few minds are changed in political or religious arguments or in great idea discussions. It's difficult to let go of ideas, to face the facts as it were. It's difficult to go through a process that seeks to invalidate your idea. By the time you are building your minimum viable project, again, as opposed to viability experiment, you should be well beyond emotional evidence, being the rope you're hanging your hopes on, to mix a metaphor. Where's your viability test where your best attempts at all right? If this doesn't work, my ideas and assumptions are seriously wrong. The minimum viable product is your first attempt at all right. If this doesn't work, my implementation is wrong. So this is something we have to agree with. If the minimum viable product doesn't work, there is an adjustment to be made. And if it doesn't work again, there is more to adjust. So that is something we have to agree with. We have to correct and improve and try to sell as many times as it is necessary before we actually sell our product or before we go out to sell it in reality and before we actually invest all this money in something that we are not sure that is going to happen and something that we think is in our mind only and it is not going to cover a need of our potential customers. So that's what this book told us about, and it has been a really interesting reading it, although quite few of the concepts are in various books lately. But what I would like you to keep from this one is the minimum viable product idea. This is what it is really important. So if you think that you do want to create something new, try to create this prototype and try to sell this prototype. And if it is sold, then try to scale it up. Bearing in mind, though, that a lot of times it is going to be really tough to convince your first client. It is going to be even tougher than convincing the next 10 clients. So you need your first honest client before you actually try to make more products and try to take it in the second stage. I think that's for today. You did not participate a lot, but I hope you will do in our next meeting. Thank you for following me. I hope you have a nice week.